Podcast, episode 7 with my man David Ware. What's up with you, man?
Man,
appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you stopping in, man.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Today's episode, we're gonna talk about men's health. And this is a good friend of mine, man. We go back, I'll tell you a little backstory, man. We was running around in the streets of Northtown, Las Vegas, man. We was like 10 or 11 years old for a long time, man. Going to Wimpy's and running around the boys club and all that type of stuff, man. This is back in the day. And then I lost contact. I moved out of state and then moved back. Lost contact with him probably over 20, 25 years, man. And then my brother-in-law was getting some work done at his house one day, and he said Dave was a plumber. Then I kind of connected the dots, and I'm like, man, there ain't no way it's this dude, man.
Right.
So we ran back into each other, man, and kind of been in touch ever since then. And just, been friends, man, around the same age group. Just want to share some health news with y'all, man, some of our own personal stuff. A little quick disclaimer, no way are we professionals or doctors or anything. We just kind of sharing our journey and kind of speaking on some of the issues and challenges of men's health. It's serious, and I don't know why, some of us men, we don't take it as serious, but just kind of want to speak on that and give a little bit about that. So first we're going to start with our health journey, how we got here to this point. So I don't know if Dave, you want to speak on it first, and I can elaborate on some of my issues or whatever first.
For me, my health journey started probably about 10 years ago when I started realizing that.
And how do you now?
I'm 48 years old now, so probably about 38 years old. I started, taking my health a little bit more serious as far as checking out certain aspects in my life that was causing me to have some issues. 38 is really not that old, but when you have health issues, it adds age to you quite a bit.
Quickly.
Especially when you're dealing with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, too much weight, things of that nature. And like you said from the beginning, we're no experts in any of these things, but these are experiences that we have had throughout the years that has led us into a point where now, health has become more critical than ever before.
Right.
Because now, we're at an age where, now we need to get over that next threshold to get to the next level as far as being in, our 50s and 60s and so on and so forth. And we don't take, these things into consideration and start trying to be more proactive in our health, then we're going to find ourselves meeting our demise a lot earlier than we should.
Sooner than we have to.
And I've had a lot of friends that have passed away from preventative situations based on them not, taking a proactive approach on, seeing doctors and visiting them and seeing specialists and, just getting the overall understanding of where you're at with your health. Especially with the African American community.
Right, man.
We have a tendency to believe that, if we don't feel like nothing's wrong, then nothing's wrong.
Right.
And we really don't get a full understanding of how important it is to go to a professional to give us information based upon the diagnosis that they give us, so we can have those type of things, within our reach to be able to do preventative things to make sure that, we're good. I always say that, funeral homes are full of people that love people who may have had an opportunity to be able to prevent a lot of the things that have happened to them. But when you're sitting there looking at loved ones that are, crying and wishing, hoping for one more moment in their life, you have to try to think about that way beforehand, because
years beforehand.
Because once the loss is gone, that's it. There's no turning back from that. So I basically, wanted to share this because I feel like the more that we can have discussions and bring awareness, and it's just being a common guy, like no one special, no one, of any professional or anything like that when it comes to health, but just being your brother, just being your friend, just being, somebody who can relate to you and go through this and have you understand that we have the similar issues, the similar problems. And anytime that we can share some light on these things, man. It's always good to, bringing this, to the people, to the audiences, or to, whoever may want, whoever is listening, that maybe you grab hold to somebody who it will, trigger that mindset to say, you know what, I need to do and try to put myself in a better position as well. Because it happened for me. A friend of mine, I used to think he was overdoing it.
Did you like doing too much?
Yeah, he was so paranoid about his health. He was at the drop of a hat, he at the doctor.
Really?
And I used to be like, man, why you go to the doctor so much?
Yeah.
And he always used to tell me, man, I'd rather know than not know.
And I think sometimes in our community, and just me in general, it's the opposite. We don't want to know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we'll take that off. And like you said, you 48, and I think that dangerous decade that we spoke about is 40 to 50. Yeah. Like a lot of people are checking out, and in those 10 years, them are critical 10 years, man. 44, 43, before their time. I just turned 50 last week, man. I consider it a blessing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are not making it, man.
Yeah.
And I think, like you say, just raising the awareness, getting the attention, too, man. And like what happened with me, it might have been about 4 or 5 years ago. I just happened to go to the doctor to get checked out. I was using the bathroom all the time at night. And I didn't think nothing. I'm like, damn, I wasn't drinking that much. You know what I mean? Right. So I go get checked out. Blood sugar, I don't know if anybody knows your blood sugar. Mine was 260. Fasting blood sugar when you wake up in the morning should be 100 or less. Right. So that means it's too much sugar in your blood. And that can be from, pretty much by the time you get able to eat what you can, you eat pretty much what you want.
Right.
You eating chips, drinking, so pretty much doing what you want.
Absolutely.
So you fast forward that 20-something years, and that's a lot of time that something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your body can only take so much, and like you said, I realized, and I started taking it serious. Like, hey, man, your kidneys and all them vital organs are connected.
Yeah.
And so when they told me that, I'm like, wow, it's like they say, it's a silent killer.
Yes.
And I noticed that high blood sugar goes along with high blood pressure.
Absolutely.
Because if there's too much in there, then your heart has to work extra hard. So your heart has to pump harder than it has to.
Right.
That's what leads to the and the next thing you know, you can have a heart attack.
Yes.
So I really started to take it serious. Looking at everything, looking at my diet, and I thought for a long time that a lot of stuff was hereditary.
Yes.
And some of it could be, but then I heard something that made a lot of sense. They said, well, in one aspect, the parents grow up eating one way, right? You introduce your kids to eating that way. Right. So they're gonna get the same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? They gonna get, I'm like, wow, I never tied that together like that.
So we don't realize we can break that cycle.
Yeah, you can break that cycle, man. Right. And now, especially in this day and age, like you said, we got so much access to information.
Yes.
When I was growing up, like, even 20 years ago, I was 30, just entering that decade, it wasn't this much information available.
Right.
So now it's a lot more available, a lot more readily available, a lot more, at our hands, on our fingertips. We can research it and all that, man.
Absolutely.
What would you say is some of your key lessons you've learned in health up to this point?
The main thing is diet. Making sure that you maintain the proper weight. Something as simple as staying hydrated.
Dehydration leads to a lot of stuff too.
A lot of things, man, we don't realize when we don't drink enough water, especially being in the desert.
Sweating all the time. What kind of work you do?
We lose water, so much water every single day, especially in the desert when we're in the heat. So we almost got to double up. Whatever it is that we have, whatever type of intake we have as far as hydration goes. But for the most part, I think that we have to start understanding the importance of checking our health from the neck up as well. Because a lot of times, mentally, we check out.
Right, we do, right.
And that goes along to what you were saying about we feel ourselves seeing there's nothing wrong. And that can play a big part of your mental situation psychologically.
That's so true.
We have a tendency to think like we're too macho to go to the doctor.
Right. It's too much. You don't want to have nobody see a chink in the arm. You know what I mean? And like my grandfather was like that. He wouldn't want to know. He just I'll just keep living, and when I die, I die.
Right.
That's the wrong
right.
approach, man. But you're right.
And that's a big thing for us because we don't want to be looked upon as being weak.
Mm-hmm. That's the sign. That crazy. That's a sign of weakness, man.
Yeah. So it's vitally important to really understand the importance of checking your mental as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will supersede, that subconscious thought process.
Right. Okay.
Where now you're feeling like, okay, you know what? I have to be aware of what's going on, despite of what my subconscious is trying to fight so hard for. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, especially if you have a family, you have children, people that love you, you can't be selfish in your own life.
Right, you're doing them a disservice.
Yes,
that's being, health, irresponsible health-wise. You know what I mean? Being irresponsible.
Yes.
Right.
We know we have a tendency to put a lot of things, we make a lot of other things more important. Our jobs, our careers, hobbies, chasing money. All things are good, but without you, ain't none of that stuff.
Ain't none of that, yeah. And without your health first.
So, you have to understand how important it is to make sure that your health is a priority.
Yeah. Because none of that stuff's gonna matter. You know what I mean?
Absolutely
None of that stuff's gonna matter, man.
And I'm learning that now the hard way. Fortunate for me, I've done a lot of things that have helped me to be able to sustain.
Okay.
Luckily,
yeah.
But everybody is not fortunate enough to be able to have those things in position, and so when health becomes an issue, and you become inoperable.
Yeah.
Then,
Then it's serious.
It becomes very serious.
Yeah.
You can't have wealth without health. I don't care how you try to. I remember a guy. We had a conversation with an older white gentleman, and he was on his deathbed. He was a millionaire, and we asked him, if anything you ever want in your life, what would it be? He said he'd give up every dime he got just for his health. And we don't understand the magnitude.
Price on that. Yeah.
You don't understand the magnitude of what he was saying.
That's heavy, man.
Because we value that more than life.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So until you can find yourself in those shoes, it's very difficult to have an outlook in that way.
Until something makes you staring down the barrel of that gun down, it's like, you know what? That's everything. And then it to me, it interferes with your lifestyle too. Once health start, things with your partner or just everyday stuff that we take for granted, being able to walk, move around, get around and stuff, you take it for granted until it gets affected, until it gets touched, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it just made me realize, like, man, I really gotta, you really gotta have a lot of discipline on yourself as far as eating and doing stuff to be like, you know what, I don't want to shave no years off my life that I don't have to.
Right.
I want to be around as much as I can. They say the average man you live about 80 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it from this standpoint, we've already, we've lived more than we got left
That's
almost.
right.
You know what I mean? So I say
right.
what I got left, I got to make the most. I want to be around. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. You want to see your you want to see your kids
man.
grow,
I mean, like
grandkids, hopefully the great grandkids.
Great grandkids.
It's a lot to have to, really understand the importance of what you have to do as an individual to ensure those things taking place. Now, granted, things happen naturally, whatever the case may be, but what I'm basically on is the preventative things. Things that we can do stuff about. I used to coach basketball and football, and I used to hear people complain about the referees a lot. And I always used to tell them, well, if you do the things you're supposed to do, you take the game out of the referee's hands.
Right. That's good. That's good.
So
man.
that was a lesson that I've always implemented.
Yeah.
And I look at life the same way. If we don't want to get a bad diagnosis, then we need to understand the importance of doing what we have to do. In order for our diagnosis to come back a lot better.
Right.
Take
the power out of that hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're afraid, of that particular thing happening to you, then you have to learn and understand what it takes for that to be able to take place. Now, if a kid can understand that, surely a full-grown adult should be able to understand that.
Right. That is true. Man. Wow, that's something really puts it in perspective. And it seems like at some point, what you have to start doing is what you should have been doing.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? They're like, man, I should have been doing it, should have been eating, like, you know what I mean? But you learn sometimes, you know, the hard way, man. But I think it's just catching it when you can, man.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's never too late. You know, I've always been a firm believer that wisdom is so profound. And it's so beautiful about wisdom because you're never too old to learn.
Right.
You're never too old to get it right. You're never too old to see things new, understand the importance of it. Every day is a lesson.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and every day we getting older.
Every day we getting older.
Yeah.
Every day we experiencing new things.
Yeah.
And you know, like you say, 10 years ago, I wasn't thinking about health to this degree, but now, especially at this particular time in the pandemic era, you know, this is really a eye opener. Yeah. Because, you know, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on COVID and any of that stuff. I've caught it. Yeah. I've caught it a couple times, and it was just in a weird way. Like the first time I got it was back in December last year.
That's when it was really thick too.
Yeah. And I was quarantined and just stayed out the way. Went through the symptoms and everything. I'm not claiming to be no superhero, no Superman, or anything like that. But
you bounced back from it.
I bounced back from it because I've always been pretty active.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I've lifted weights, I've done cross training.
Man, you was a power lifter for a long time. Yeah.
And I'm recently finding out how important lifting weights was. I never knew that. I just did it because I love lifting weights. But it does a lot for you. It does a lot for your immune system and everything else. So when I was able to get through that, you know, it was like, oh, okay, you know. Then later on, I got it again, but now I had.
How long was it in between the two?
To be honest, I almost think I never got rid of it.
Oh, really? Just kind of came back?
I think it just lingered, and then I started having, you know, undermining situations with my heart. I had a stroke. I mean, it was just a back-to-back medical situations, and I think that the COVID was attacking all these things. So when I went to the hospital, like I said, I didn't even know I had those asymptomatic.
Yeah, you didn't have no kind of. Wow.
And no one around me had contracted it. So it was very fortunate in that aspect.
Well, it was, yeah.
Yeah, but it started really breaking me down. And what I realized was, you know, every man is touchable.
Touchable, yeah.
You know,
no matter what, nobody's until
we're not invincible.
Yeah,
you know?
you're right.
And we have to be able to understand the importance of getting the help that we need, because without it, you could be out of here.
Right.
For
your time.
Yeah.
For your time.
You know, it's a lot of people who have suffered from it and, you know, passed on. We don't know what the circumstances of the situations was, but I can only speak on what was happening with me.
Wow, man. And I know they said when that was going around that, you know, it was predominantly the black community was more at risk. And I mean, we always at risk more than anything when anything goes out. But it said if you had any pre-existing health conditions, you know, heart disease, diabetes, and I'm just like, wow, man. Yeah. Now all of that plays a factor.
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? It's just, like, it makes it a more deadly cocktail.
That's
if
right.
you put COVID in that and you got all this other stuff going on. So I'm like, man, it really was an eye opener.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, to be able to experience it, I you know, it was times where I felt like, am I gonna die from this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really starts running through your mind.
All of that, and then and that's why I was talking about dealing with your loved ones and things of that nature, because you think about them before you think about yourself.
For yourself, yeah.
You know, you're not worried about your life when it comes to getting to that point. You think about everybody else.
And I do, man. You think about how you set them up, and nobody's really ready to go.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't care whatever you try. Nobody's really ready to go, man.
Yeah.
And it's hard on the loved ones. They're gonna take it harder. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're gonna take it harder, man.
I know. I watch my son at times when we have conversations, and we do discuss those things. You know, what would life be for you like if I'm not around? And it's almost like he breaks down
It's the thought of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I say, wow, this is crazy because you don't really realize how important you are to your children.
Mm-hmm. You everything, man. I just lost my father, man. You everything. He
Yeah.
lived the majority of his
And I
life,
give
but
you my condolences, man.
Yeah, thank you,
man.
man.
Your father
Thank
was
you,
kids, man. You was in Kentucky every summer.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, you remember that,
absolutely.
man. Yeah. You
absolutely.
just hope that at that point that you put enough in them that they can carry on. And I don't know, it's hard. Nobody wants to have the uncomfortable conversations, but they're necessary.
Yeah, very
You know, as far as wheels and what, you know, if this happens, then we do A, B, and C.
Right.
This you know, nobody wants to have it, but if it happens and it's not in place, it's going to be even worse.
It's
man.
going to be a burden on your
It's
children
gonna
and
be
your
even
loved
worse.
ones. I mean, I can't emphasize enough about how often we see our people out there with buckets, car washes,
Mhm.
all
Yeah,
the
and
different things,
yeah.
man. And it's like, it's sad to me because for a few dollars, you know, that we can spend on blunts and cigars.
Right, and
and
alcohol
weed
and all,
alcohol.
all that, yeah.
We
You
can
can put that in your
together a
health.
policy, that's going to
Right.
help benefit your
Probably
loved
cheaper.
ones.
Probably cheaper than all that stuff we
I done
get.
seen them as cheap as $22 a month.
That's crazy. You spend that in one weekend. You know what I mean? Like you said, on
One
alcohol,
day.
cigarettes, and
Yeah.
it's amazing, man.
So, you know, like I said, it's something that we have to take in a considerably good look at. You know, I'm not the one to try to force anything on anybody, anything like that. But I will emphasize that your health has got to be priority
Gotta
number
be
one.
Yeah, it's got to be in the front seat.
There's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Yeah.
Once it gets to the point where it's critical,
Mhm.
or you're in a fatality state, it's
Like
too
you said,
late.
and you inoperable, something happens to where stuff don't function like it used to function.
Yeah.
You know,
It's too late.
It's too
just
late,
too
man.
late, man. So, you know, I
It's a mess.
just pray and hope that, you know, whoever's watching and whoever's logging in and logging on. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I don't know how it works.
But you know, we talked about it. I said, man, you know, as I said, that would be a good topic. We need to discuss
Man,
that because
I'm
it's
telling
such a taboo thing.
It is very
You know what I
much
mean?
so.
People just, you know, we
Very
just
much
go about
so.
our way and don't think that stuff needs to be talked about,
You
man.
got to do it every day, you know. And I would add this, you know, as far as getting exercise, you know,
Mhm.
a lot of us, you know, we get a little lazy.
We get
You
lazy.
know what I'm saying?
We get lazy.
We get lazy.
Yeah.
We get, you know, easily distracted about,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
other things.
Mhm.
But I'll say this, you know, exercise don't have to be strenuous.
It don't have to
It
be.
don't
no.
have to be
No.
the Olympian.
Right. You don't have to go all that.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah. It could be something very, just, you know,
casual walks.
something to get the heart rate up, you know what I mean? And it
Casual
helps
walks.
push the blood through your body,
Yeah.
helps get all that stuff out,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Now I try to do a lot of stuff. I do an intermittent fast where I say I might eat at 8 one night, and then I might not eat till 12 the next day. But what it
Right.
does is gives our bodies a chance to break everything down, because we just pumping in and eating,
Yeah.
and the organs never get a rest.
Never get a rest.
You know what I mean? They
Never
just
get a rest.
constantly, and I'm like, no, I drink some herbal teas,
Uh-huh.
I drink some moringa, you know, anything to kind of get all that stuff out your body, man, because
Right.
it just gets polluted, man.
Yeah.
You know, they was talking about like, especially colon cancer is real big, and we have so much undigested red meat just sitting there, man.
Yeah.
And we don't never, get it
Yeah.
out, man.
Yeah.
And that stuff just rots, and then it becomes cancer.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's between cancer and heart disease, them are like the biggest two things
Yeah.
killers, man.
And speaking on that, I just left a procedure this morning and came straight here.
Mhm.
I got a colonoscopy. I can't say it.
I can't never say it either.
Colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just this morning.
Mhm.
And you know, I felt like the subject matter was so important that
It's all
I
goes together. Yeah.
I just had to come here as soon as I was done. I'm looking at my paperwork right now,
Mhm.
the pictures and films and everything
Yeah.
from it.
So
Unfortunately,
we never know, man.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Blood work and
all that. And
yeah.
unfortunately, I'm good. You know, I
Mhm.
have they tell me shoot, they don't want to see me for another 10 years. So
That's
I
good.
Thank
Yeah.
God for that.
And I'm due for one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They say you should. I forgot what age they recommend that you get it.
It's
at.
50.
It's 50. So
Yeah.
you're ahead of the schedule.
So
man.
yeah, I just did it a little
yeah.
earlier because I was having some abdominal pains,
Mhm.
and I wanted to find out that was it dealing with my heart, or was it just dealing with my stomach in itself? And then it did diagnose me as having a gastritis.
Okay.
If I'm saying that correct.
Yeah.
And they say it's pretty common, but it's kind of like something where you just have inflammation in your stomach and things of that nature. And a lot of it's just due to food.
Due to food.
Yeah.
And the food is killing us too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's so crazy. It's so much processed stuff. That, and I heard a quote that said either you eat your food as medicine, or medicine will be your food.
That's right.
And I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? So I'm
you
like,
you either live to eat or you eat to live.
Yeah. And that stuff is serious, man. What we put in our bodies, that's all we got, man.
Yeah. Food is like medication.
It is, really is. Yeah.
That's why when you get a diet recommended to you, most of the time it's based on specific things that's going
What
on
they
with
looking
your
at,
health.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but if we just find ourselves eating that way on a regular basis, like I said, I try not to put too much pressure on things, because it seems like when we try to get pressure to do stuff, we want to rebel. It's like being a kid.
Right, you don't want to do it. Yeah,
you can't eat those cookies right now.
You fight against it. You fight against it.
But we have to develop a state of mind that creates, that type of habit that you want to create, to make sure that no matter what, this is what I'm going to do.
This is what I'm going to do. Yeah.
And once you could do that consistently for about 2 or 3 months, you can have it in the bag. Not saying that you won't slip up and want to grab a burger.
That's true. And I still like all that.
But
you know what I mean?
But the difference is, at least you're putting more good in your body than bad.
Bad, right.
It's just when we have such busy days and we're ripping and running and we gotta eat. And, we don't care once we get hungry.
We don't care.
It
don't even matter. And then the low nutrient junk stuff is so accessible.
Very.
And it's so easy. And I was telling somebody one day, I said, now you think about it. How can they sell you the burger, the bun, the lettuce, the wrapper? How can they sell you that for $1?
For $1.
Like what? I mean, what do they get? What are they making it for?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, like you said, by the time you get hungry, you're not even factoring all that stuff in. You're just like, I want this, I want to get. So what we end up doing is getting a lot of calories, but low nutrients.
Very low nutrients.
1,000-some calories, but how much nutritional value did it have, man?
Absolutely.
And it takes a toll. I remember like growing up, eating out was like you did it on Fridays.
Exactly.
Now it's like almost every day. You going to the drive-through, the kitchen, like the drive-through is the new kitchen.
Oh, absolutely.
And
that
that
food
stuff
industry is thriving.
It's thriving, man. It's thriving. And I look at it one day, and sometimes you see on a busy street or intersection, you see all these different places. How are all of them popping?
Everyone got a line.
How are all of them popping, dude? Like, I ain't never seen a slow day, and I'm like, that is crazy, man.
No, it's we've gotten away from. It's just we have turned our lives into a very fast-paced way of life.
Right, yeah.
And that's hurting us too.
Yeah, it's killing us, man. And then you look at the kids growing up, man. They already having problems. They having issues we didn't have to deal with. And they young.
And they're young.
And I'm thinking, you fast forward 10 years from now, what is that gonna look like?
Exactly. Yeah, the kids nowadays, they look a lot older than.
Don't they? That stuff is aging them, man. And I'm like, man, that's sad, man.
Yeah.
And they said this is the first generation to where parents will probably outlive the kids.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm like, wow, man.
Yeah, and like you say, it's just, diets and then the fast-paced living. Then you got this rebellious generation now.
Yeah.
They don't want to listen
They
to
don't want to be told.
Yeah. Everybody got an answer for something.
They don't want to be told nothing.
Instagram, Facebook, and all these different places that they can, follow people and do all these different things. But I just believe in being, very vigilant and old school. Because the old school has worked.
It worked. It's tried and true.
Yeah,
it's tried and true.
So, I don't know nothing else. I don't want to know nothing else because, it's like, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the younger generation and saying they're not innovative. They're way more innovative than we ever been because information and knowledge is readily at their fingertips.
Right.
You don't even have to study for it. But at the same time, you know, you have to learn how to understand how to apply these different things.
Right? Yeah. If you don't have,
Yeah. So if we don't get that part taken care of, then all that information and knowledge is all for naught.
It don't even matter. Yeah. That's true.
You know.
That's true, man.
So,
What do you think about men's health versus women's health? Because I know women, you know, when I always try to figure it out. Like, it seems like women live longer, man.
Man.
Like my grandmother, my grandmother right now, 96 years old, bless her heart. She's outlived 3 kids and 2 husbands.
wow.
And I'm thinking, like, what is the... Women generally live longer than men.
You know what?
I mean?
I had a conversation with a guy, and funny, his name is David too.
Wow.
One of my customers, older guy, 70 years old. And we had a conversation about this just the other day. And he brought something very important to my mind when it came to this whole thing that deals with women health and men's health and them living longer and things of that nature. He said, man, women simply live longer because they're more sociable.
More so, right.
Women will find groups of women.
They talk.
He said he based it on like a study with a convalescent home. And, or was it a convalescent home or one of those homes where you wait to pass away?
Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking
And
about, yeah.
what he found was a guy did a study where he checked himself into one of those homes. And he found that the women who supposed to be dying at I think it was hospice.
Hospice, you're on your way out.
Everybody's supposed to be dying at some point.
Right.
But the women, when they came in, they locked into other women, and they did activities, and they did things socially.
More sociable activities.
Yeah, and the men, what they would do is they would come in, and they're so bitter about life at this point where they can't do the things that they used to. But, you know, they reminisce on that stuff, and then they kind of push everybody away. You know, so you'll see the guy just sitting over here in a wheelchair, just rotting away. Because socially, that's an energy.
Yeah. And it
And
gives you, and I never thought about it like that, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it opened me up like, wow, that's pretty deep. You know, he says, you know, sometimes we have friends in our lives, they pass away, we don't make new friends.
You don't make no friends, right?
Yeah.
And before you know it, you don't got no more friends. Cause all you,
Right. So it creates an antisocial aspect in your life.
And it's so easy to be antisocial.
Very easy.
It don't take no energy,
Especially
especially
with men.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
we work so hard in our lives. We figure like, you know, man, life has been hard enough for me. I need a break. You know, I need to just kick back and not do nothing.
I don't want to talk. We got this wall up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And women, what they do too is they talk about their personal situations.
They do.
They talk about the things that are health issues with amongst each other.
And then they can share information.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They can share
And
information.
then we kind of go into that. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, we don't want nobody to know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We embarrassed to say,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
the thing ain't working.
What do I do?
Can I get some, you know, some advice?
Right.
Or what
But you don't want to say
You
nothing.
don't want to say nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's
so
true.
we have a tendency to shun away from the opportunities to be able to relate to one another in certain aspects.
That's true,
that
man.
can help us.
Somebody's been through it. I got some experience in it.
Got some
You're right,
experience.
man. And that's a shame. We just go about it like that, man.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess that's just how we wired. Men are wired up. You know, I don't know, man. But that's a very key point, man.
Yeah, it's just mental, you know. And I'll say this too, man. I'm gonna put it out there. You know, some of us, man, need to understand the importance of getting therapy.
Therapy, right?
You know,
it's a real issue.
It's a
real issue.
There's
man.
nothing wrong with somebody giving you insight on your state of mind.
State of mind, yeah.
In the long run,
it's real. It's real.
It's real, man. I mean, in the long run, wouldn't you rather be better mentally than not?
Than not, right?
You know what I mean? So if I can find a way that can help boost up my thought process, where I'm more open and subjective to, you know, gaining more access or giving people more access to me, then that's going to be a benefit.
That is.
We have to reverse how we look at things and how we approach situations, and be able to look at things from a different perspective, because we are limiting ourselves. You know, and when you limit yourself, it's like you're shutting doors that you need to be open.
They can be wide open, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it's vitally important, man. Health is universal, man. It's 365.
Everybody got to deal with it. You know what I
Everybody
mean?
gotta deal with it,
And pretty soon that becomes the number one card on the deck. All them other cards don't even matter. That health card becomes the number one on the deck.
Yeah.
You know, you can't overlook it. You can't, put it to the side or whatever. But you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
That's why we want to bring this to kind of heighten awareness. Have people come out their shell. Hey, ask somebody.
Yeah.
Ask somebody about it. Man. Somebody didn't dealt with it.
Somebody done dealt with what you're dealing with. There's nothing new under the sun. And what's funny is we teach our children that. We talk to them about those type of things.
Yeah.
But then we don't follow the same
We
practice.
don't apply it to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
That's why a lot of times our kids look at us like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well,
You just told me all this, and then look what you're doing.
And look what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. Have you made a lot of changes in your diet since everything's been going on?
Dramatically.
Yeah, big.
Dramatically. I went from 387 pounds to 300. I weighed myself this morning. I'm 302.
Really? That's big though. 87.
Yeah, 87.
That's huge.
It's
huge.
It's a big drop. Didn't happen overnight.
It happened slowly.
Slowly, and
that's huge,
it was
man.
without exercise.
Really? Just diet? Yeah, just diet.
Just straight changing the diet, man. I just started putting more green in my diet, fruits.
And that's
more water.
nutrient dense too.
Yes,
it keeps you full longer and stuff
yes,
too, man.
Absolutely. I don't eat a whole lot at all. Like portion size, very small.
Very small,
yeah. And it has literally just taken on a life of its own, so to speak. So I can't stress enough how important. I used to think being heavy was cool. I'm lifting all this weight, and I'm striving to lift 500 and 600 pounds and all this.
Yeah.
But man, my joints was dying.
There's too much pressure on
Way
man.
too much stress on the body.
Too much pressure.
I can't even believe I'm saying this right now.
That's
because
crazy.
that's how in tune or how locked in I was on powerlifting.
Powerlifting,
But my back doesn't hurt anymore. My knees don't hurt anymore.
Yeah. That's a lot of pressure on everything. If you think about it,
it's a lot of pressure.
It's a
Tremendous amount of pressure. And I'm not knocking those who do it. If your body is able to withstand it and hold up to it,
and you able to do it in that season.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the season for you. But now as you go, I look at the cat like Ronnie Coleman. To look at him now, it's just like everything takes a toll on you. Everything takes a toll.
Yeah, and the lifting heavy weight is I'm gonna tell you, it's really mental more
It's
than
mental,
anything.
right, yeah.
I watched a guy named Gilly the King, funny guy, but he said a key point one day. He said, "Man, you lifting all that weight for what? You ain't on the line. You ain't on the offensive line, defensive line. So what you want to walk around like that for?
Just all swole. But back in the day, swole used to be it. You know what I mean?
It was an image of power.
Yeah, right. And you want to be a nice respected
man.
Yeah, that's true. And now I look at it like, I don't know if it's because of my job or whatever, it's very active, but now you get to the point where you start losing mass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't, retain. I remember Jamie Foxx said something that was hilarious. He said, it's like you go to the gym and you do all this, but as soon as you leave the gym, you hit. He said you can't keep that swollen.
Deflation,
I said, man, he ain't laughing. But as soon as you can do all that, but then you hear that. Like it's just coming out of you, man. I think diet is important, man. I try to eat more protein. Don't get me wrong. I might like a chicken wing, got a burger, but it's not like I used to. You know what I mean? Not like I used to, man.
Hey, I'll tell you something, man. That stuff is good.
Yeah, it's good. And they know it. They know it, man. Yeah. And I was reading a book called Salt, Sugar, and Fat, and they say that's how a lot of these companies. Coke, Frito-Lay, all these big, a lot of the frozen stuff, they hire scientists, man, and they factor on them three things: salt, sugar, and fat. They know people have a taste for that, so they engineer this food that taste a certain way. That's why you can't eat just one chip. You look up, you're at the bottom of the bag, like that. I just was going to eat a few.
They deal with the psychology.
They deal with the sight, right?
Even down to the colors that they do.
Right, yeah.
Everything triggers something.
Triggers something. I want that, or it releases dopamine in you. Where you thinking, boom, you know what I mean? So I just try to be more conscious of what I eat, watch it, man. Space out the time I'm eating and stuff, man. It's serious, man.
Yeah, if you create, just a regimen, and you make that regimen a part of your daily life, you'll curb a lot of those things.
Right, you will.
You ride right past that restaurant.
Right past it,
I'm supposed to go home and prep my food.
Prep my food, prep my food,
That's what I'm gonna do. That's how I'm gonna do it.
And it's cheaper. You know what I mean? It's cheaper. A lot cheaper, man. You can eat longer and stretch your week out and all that. You probably prep my food and small portions and all that, man.
They're finding ways to make being healthy so costly.
Right.
It almost becomes discouraging.
Right, it does. Right.
You say, okay, I'm gonna go buy this wrap. The wrap is like $10, but you got this $1 burger.
$1 burger.
And
it's so
you know what I mean?
It's crazy, man.
It's like it's engineered and geared towards
to make it harder. You're right.
Yeah.
And I look at it like this: you're gonna spend the money one way, spend the money and time one way. You're gonna spend it buying the right food, even if it costs a little. It costs a little more to go to Whole Foods. Everybody can't do it, right?
Absolutely.
It costs a little more. It takes a little bit more time to prep your food.
Right.
But would you rather spend that time and money, or time and money in the doctor's office,
or time and money on medication?
Medication, right.
I mean,
You're gonna spend it one way or another.
Absolutely.
You're gonna spend it one way or
They have
another.
a medication for every single thing that you
Everything,
have.
and they treat the symptoms, not the cause.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
No.
we're gonna reduce this, but what's causing this? You know what I mean? Like what's making this happen?
Right.
Let's get to the root.
Right.
You know? Let's get to the root of it, man.
I started watching the commercials for medicine.
It's big business.
For the last 10 years.
Yeah, big business,
it's
man.
Beyond big business.
$1 billion, big business,
And
man.
they would push whatever product. They don't care about
Side effects and all that.
And I always ask the same question. I gotta die to try to live?
To try to wow.
God,
That's crazy. Like you gambling, trying
to Like I said, wow. Why won't I take my chances on physically controlling myself in order for me not to be able to allow myself or the referee to make a bad call?
Right. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's crazy. Like that. Yeah, you're right.
And those are the things that we have control over. I mean, our lives is in our own hands.
Right. Yeah.
We don't realize and understand it, because if you're not locked in here in your mind, then other people will guide you.
They will. Right.
And that's why commercials are so big, social media is so big. All these different entities that gives us a flood and a plethora of misinformation.
Overload too.
Overload. There's some good information out there, but you
gotta
still
filter through.
you gotta have the right mind to be able to see all those things.
That's true.
But this is the game. This is how the
game,
society is now.
It is.
Putting us in a direction that's making us flock.
Right. Should flock. So you're right. That's a good way to put it, man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
We have to gain control of ourselves
first and foremost, man.
And your health is like you can't substitute it. You just can't do it.
No way around it, man.
No
way around it, man.
And then I'm fighting to get just back to doing normal stuff.
Just normal stuff.
Just normal things. My recovery's been pretty slow but steady.
Steady. Progress though.
Progress. And even I'll just go a step further. Even some of the medications that I have to take, they're causing other issues.
Right. And I didn't realize that to where because our kidneys have to filter all that out.
That's right.
So it's putting a lot more workload on the kidneys and stuff, man. I'm just like, man. And then I go back and regular checkups. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm trying to get off the stuff.
That's
I'm just
right.
trying to keep renewing. Now hold on, let me get off of it.
Yeah,
You know
they don't
what I
even
mean?
have a conversation with you about it.
Yeah, they just let me redo your prescription.
And then with the medical industry now, this is becoming such a horrible epidemic.
It is, yeah.
What's happening now is, okay, so you got a few decent doctors out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the staffing is becoming
Customer service is trash.
It's becoming so bad.
Can't get a hold of nobody. You know what I mean?
You have a procedure schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and because everybody's dropping the ball,
Right,
you
right.
can't get it done in a timely manner.
That's true.
So now you waiting 3 more months of still dealing with the problems
Still
that you
dealing with
have.
everything. That's true. That's true.
You see what I mean?
That's
So
true. That's true.
it's like I say, again, if we can't understand the importance of taking care of ourselves
Mhm.
and not allowing it to be in the hands of those who are too busy to even look after
To even
us,
look after, yeah.
you know, you have to take that into consideration.
Right. You know they don't care. They don't have time to care. You know,
You
right.
know, time is money for them,
Mhm.
and you know they're not going to lose.
You're not gonna lose.
You know,
Yeah.
and when it comes to you as an individual,
Mhm.
you got to think about what you have to lose.
What you have, yeah. I got more to lose than they do.
Exactly.
They look. They got to lose a patient. I got to lose a life.
You got to lose a life.
It's a different conversation.
And you will be filled in by somebody else.
Somebody else,
that was
right.
on the waiting list.
Right, right. The next number. Next
Yeah,
number.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's true, man.
You know, so I'm learning all this as I'm going through this process.
Mhm.
You know, I was so frustrated when I first started having to deal with a lot of these things, but I quickly started, because you know, like I said, I got friends
Mhm.
who've gone through it as well, so they helped
So
me
that
to
helps.
understand
Right. Okay,
maneuvering,
yeah.
stand on top of,
Yeah.
you know, constantly being aggressive
Mhm.
about certain things. You have to be in this way because other than that,
Mhm.
if you're not in their face, you're just a memory for them.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and when you have to depend on that for at that moment,
Mhm.
you fight for your life.
Fighting for your life, literally.
You
Literally.
you can't afford to, you know, let them usher you around and
Mhm,
put you
mhm.
on the back burner.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right. You know,
So-
they will. They will.
Oh, without a
They will.
doubt.
They will.
You know, so yeah, it's a lot, man. And like I said, you want to be able to understand the importance of hearing things like this, especially if you're not in that situation yet.
Mhm. Yeah, if you're not
You know.
down that road yet. But
Yeah.
that's, believe me, that checkpoint is coming down the
Oh,
road.
it definitely
That
will.
checkpoint is coming.
As
Yeah.
long as you're a human being and you're
Yeah,
living,
it's coming,
and
man.
you're consuming things
You're
in
consuming
life.
things. Yeah, yeah.
That's just the way it's gonna end up going.
Mhm.
And we all been there, like, you know, 20s, 30s, man, you thought about
You ain't thinking about that, but you like in early 20s, but you fast forward to your 40s. Okay, that's 20 years.
That's right.
That's a lot. Remember, I was talking about how do you think anything else would age that's 30, 40, or 50 years old? It's not going to age too well.
No.
You know what I mean? So
No,
you think about our
not
bodies.
without proper maintenance.
Right, yeah.
You know, I have a
yeah.
car, it's a 98 Lexus.
Mhm.
It has 115,000 miles on it.
That's a lot of miles, man.
It's a lot of miles for a car today.
Today,
But
right?
that car was built in 98.
Right. It's
So
not
it's
as much
100,
as yeah.
so it's 115,000 miles on it over 20-some
over
years.
20-some years. Yeah.
But the maintenance on it
Mhm.
has been kept up.
That's why they've been able to last. So that's just how our bodies
It's
are
a
today.
mint condition.
Yes, right, right.
And
right.
that's
took care
how
of it.
We took care of it.
Mhm.
That's how we have to be with our bodies.
Mhm.
It was new in 98.
Mhm.
It was,
It was,
you know,
yeah, right, right.
but for it to still be able to perform at
Mhm.
maximum levels
yeah,
at
You had to
this
take
late
care of it.
age,
yeah,
it had to be taken care of year in and year out.
It's like somebody in good health at 70, 80 years old. Like,
Exactly,
you know, yeah.
and that was exactly my point about the guy that I talked to the other day,
Mhm.
who's 70 years old. He's done a really good job of taking care of himself over the years. And I kept saying, man, I mean, this guy can still lift weights.
That's
He can
crazy.
still do
That's
a lot
crazy.
of things that I'm not able to do right now.
Right
at
now.
48
So he
years
had to
old.
do some right stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, man, if I can learn from this guy and give me some insight on
Mhm.
how I can get through the next threshold.
Because he didn't got there. He didn't
got
got
there.
there. Yeah.
So why would I not open my eyes and ears to what he has to say
Right.
and try to apply these things to myself?
Because he knows something. He's a great example. He's a great
Great
example. So he
example.
knows something. He knows
Exactly.
something, man.
You know,
so
so like I said, you know, it's not about being an expert or nothing like that. You know, I don't know all the terminology.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
a lot,
do
yeah.
all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
But experience is the best storyteller.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, we all have a story to tell. We all have something that's relatable to somebody else who's dealing with certain things, or who's going to be moving forward in life and may see that coming down the road.
And here it's like, you know what? I heard about that. Let me look into that.
Yes.
You know, let me look into that.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Absolutely.
that's definitely what we want to touch on today, man. Like I said, disclaimer, we're not experts, but take your own advice. Do your research. Talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Talk to some brothers that you know, somebody might have had some real issues. Talk to somebody. Talk to your family. Just do your research and know what works best for your body, man. And with diet, nutrition, exercise, lifestyle plays a big part.
Big time.
You know, so check it out, man. It's just 2 stories of people, different walks of life, but I'm sure it's a million different stories out there. And some people are not as fortunate, even at this age, to have everything working.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even
Right.
at this age, man.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know? And speaking on that, man, I want to speak about your shirt. I always love that acronym on your shirt, GOALS.
Oh yeah.
Nobody. Can you speak on that, man, a little bit about it? I liked it. I said when I first seen it, I said, bro, I need one of them shirts. I need one of them shirts, bro.
Yes, sir.
So speak on that, man, before we close and get out of here, man. What that means to you, man.
So goals was something that, you know, I went to the hospital for a heart palpitation one time.
Okay.
And I thought I was having a heart attack.
Okay. And palpitations is like irregular heartbeat?
Irregular heartbeat,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And while I'm laying in the hospital bed, I'm sitting there saying, damn, man, I'm not ready to be out of here. Like, I still got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah,
you know?
it goes through your mind, man.
Yeah, you know, so you start thinking, like, really hard, man. Like, damn, man, what am I leaving on the table? Like, come on, I got to get this thing right, you know, and all this and all that. So my mind just was just going, man, and I thought about the word goals, you know, and I remember as a kid, I would hear it all the time, but I couldn't relate to it.
Okay.
I didn't know how to set goals. I didn't know what goals really encountered as far as how the process of trying to
go
get
about
to
it.
it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a way to make it meaningful to me.
To make it stick to you.
Yeah. So I came up with the acronym, you know, get out and live strong.
It's so profound, man.
Man,
I love that,
it's
bro.
so much.
profound,
it's so many
man.
dimensions to
Yeah,
it. Man. It's
man,
not
I
even
love
funny.
that.
It's so amazing how when I started really delving into it and thinking about it more and started looking at it and relating it to how life is and the things that I see, you know, that's the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal. Ultimate goal.
It's
No
the
pun
ultimate goal.
intended. Yeah.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
Really,
You know,
man.
and so when I started kind of digging into how this is a umbrella of something, I started coming up with other goals acronyms that can relate to other things. Like this particular one is dealing with kids.
Okay.
So I decided one day I'm going to go to the inner city and I'm going to teach kids plumbing for free.
I remember that. Yeah, you was on apprenticeship and all that.
Yeah.
That's big because that's giving them a skill to
Giving
trade.
them a skill,
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
them something to understand that you're not stuck. You don't have to deal with street life, selling drugs. I've been through all that.
Yeah.
You know,
By the way,
so-
this guy's a master plumber, man.
Yes,
Took it
sir.
up. We didn't even get into that backstory, but the master plumber been his own man for years, man. And got that trade down and wanted to share it with other kids, man.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. And I felt that, you know, a kid is not limited to learning anything. Most of the kids that I had in this program were kids that were considered kids that were bad in school, disruptive in class, you know, troublemakers. But in my class, never had an issue with them.
Never had it.
And I always felt like a lot of times these kids are just bored.
Bored, right? They need somewhere to do with all that energy.
They need an activity to go along with what they're learning, so they can, you know, take that energy and I mean, and you should just have seen how these kids were so engaged.
Wow. Man.
And something that I thought was going to be boring for them. You know what
They
I mean?
ate it up though, huh?
Oh, they ate it up like wildfire.
Wow.
One kid came in one day and he told me, I fixed my mama's toilet.
God.
I said, you did? I said, what you do to it?
Yeah.
He said, you know that thing that's in the back? I
Yeah,
said, what is
yeah.
it called?
Yeah.
He said, a fill valve.
Okay.
I said,
yeah.
okay. He said, I took it apart and then I got the other piece, I put it in there,
Man.
I tightened it down, and then I put the other piece in there and turned the water on, and it worked.
Wow,
So,
man.
listen
But
to
let you
that.
know it was working. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you know, my acronym for them was just basically get out and live smart. You know, I'm not saying college is not a way for you. If you make college work for you, beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But college ain't for everybody. You know, I'm not gonna shove college down your throat if you have the spirit of an entrepreneur.
Right, that's true.
Why would I do that to you?
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And being smart, a lot of our children don't realize that there's other entities that you have to be smart at as well. And construction is one of them.
I didn't realize how big the trade game was, man.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, my father was an electrician, man, and like you plumber. Remember he told me, man, get you a trade, you can go anywhere with that.
Anywhere on the planet. You can go to Africa.
Yeah, they need it. Yeah,
you can go anywhere on this planet.
I didn't realize that, man.
You know, and that's because we don't have the exposure. You know, not to knock my Hispanic brothers, but they have their children out there.
They do. They be learning at 5, 6 years old. Yeah, they
absolutely.
Right.
When I see houses being built, I see 9-year-olds running around.
They learning the game early.
Very early. Very early.
And you right.
And what is so what I feel like what's good for them is good for us.
It's good for us. Why can't we do the same thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the only difference is we have to learn to understand how to look at things in a whole different perspective, and just don't tie money to everything.
Right, yeah.
Tie an understanding on what this can do for your life, long term.
Long term, yeah.
So when you get from your 20s to your 30s, and you have put this under your belt,
and that's a golden time to grind. That's 20 to 30. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you're at a point where you can dictate how your life is going to go based on what it is that you have now put into your repertoire. That's something that cannot be taken from you.
Yeah, that's true.
Once you know this thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And speak on that, man. Your briefly your situation, your story, how you got into the trade and all that, and how you became your own man, your own boss, and all that. Speak about it. I know we talked briefly about it, but just speak about it for the people, man, a little bit.
Well, the thing that took place for me was the years that I should have been spending college or whatever, I spent them in the streets. But as time went on, and now I look at it, that was my college.
That was your college.
You know, not glorifying it or saying,
education
hey,
is education.
But it taught me a lot, very fast. And so when I got out of the game, very early. I was about 21, 22 years old.
Early.
Very early. Just the heat was on. I couldn't take it no more. I want to go to prison. I don't have to go to prison. Yeah, absolutely. So it was like, okay, I got to do something else. My friend had got a job as a plumber, and I hate to say it this way, but he wasn't the brightest person I ever wanted to do.
Hey,
so it was like, man, if he could do it, hey, what can I do? You know what I mean? So I got involved in it. And, the first challenge I had was, we have a lot of, okay, I'm going to say it like this. White people run the industry.
Right, pretty much.
I'm going to just put it like that.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Lack of, but when it comes to us, we looked up on like, we're incapable of being able to
doing that.
Being able to learn it and let alone go out on our own and do what we're able to do. And so I took that on as a personal challenge. So one of the first things I had to overcome was the ideal about how much money I was making. I went from making, and I'm not trying to brag or exaggerate or nothing, but I went from making $10,000 a day to making $650 an hour.
Yeah,
it's a big drop.
Yeah, it's a big drop.
It's a big drop.
That's huge.
But in my mind, I told myself, I'm getting paid to go to school, $650 an hour.
I'm getting paid to learn.
I'm getting paid to learn.
Okay.
Because I understood very early what that trade was going to bring to me in the long run, based on my experiences in the street.
Okay.
Because one thing I did learn how to do was hustle. And
so I can get in here. I can change the game, but keep the mentality.
Keep the mentality, exactly.
Yeah.
So it didn't take long for me to start progressing because I was very eager. I was very hungry.
Okay, ambitious.
Very ambitious. What if somebody wouldn't teach me, I would learn on my own.
Go learn.
I would wait 30 minutes after work, go into the house, like these pipelines right here, I was just studying them, watch, see where they went.
They can't stop me from doing that.
They cannot stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
Then I started getting books, started realizing sizes, why the sizes had to be what it was,
Okay.
looking up the different terminologies and things of that nature. So I taught myself all this stuff. By the time I was 10 years in, I had did so many different levels of plumbing to where I was a complete plumber. That part was insane because of the simple fact, most people that started before me could not do everything that I was doing.
Like shot past them.
Yeah, shot past them. So I was always a supervisor. I was always running the jobs. So they always put me in another position to also look at administration, look at paperwork, looking at how to bid jobs.
Look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Taught myself how to read blueprints. No one wanted to teach me none of this stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
You know,
That's
so
crazy.
yeah. So by the time I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to branch out on my own, I had everything I needed.
You had everything.
I had everything I needed, and I had clientele.
Because just from doing other jobs and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
a year prior, I had a friend had a granite company, and he always needed a plumber because custom plumbing is big.
That's huge.
Because people remodel homes, especially when it came to a time where the economy had fell off during the first explosion of houses when they was upgrading and all that.
Yeah.
So people were holding on to their houses and just spending their money in their homes.
Upgrading.
Yeah, you know, so they gave me a tremendous amount of clientele because each house that I would do would pass on to the next.
Wow.
So I ended up being in a source of people that had money. And so I took that, formulated a business with it, and it just became what it was. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You created your own network.
I created a network of people.
And always had jobs coming to you and all
Always.
that.
And then I started dealing with property management companies, realty companies.
Wow. When you took the limits off, it just became.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
uncapped the thing, man, and just let it continue to flow.
That's crazy. How long was it that you was working for somebody else until you made the decision, I'm gonna go on my own?
10 years.
It was 10
years.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah. It's a
10
long
years.
time to give them a
Yeah. And like I said, it was just things constantly kept motivating me. You know, I remember one morning I was having a conversation with the owner of the company, and you know, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm glad to see you here. This and this and that." He's like, "You know, I want to be able to put your kids through college." So I'm like, "You want to put my kids through college? Like you're my daddy or something?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you taking your kid to the racetrack for
Right.
the day.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here looking at that and going, your lifestyle is this way, but you want to put me in a box over here.
Right,
You
right.
dictate
Right.
what I do
Yeah,
and how I
yeah,
do and how my
yeah,
life is going to
yeah,
be.
yeah.
And that created more hunger. You know, I needed to break away from that control.
That control. And they do have control. Yeah.
Oh yeah, majorly. And once you gain control in that manner, there's no turning back. Because now you're dealing solely on your efforts,
No,
your you know what I mean, your wit, and what you do as far as formulating all these things to come to fruition. You know, so yeah, that's basically.
I liken it to like a story about the jungle. They say, look, would you rather be in a cage and fed 3 times a day, or out the cage and able to eat what you want?
Right.
And once you out that cage, it's hard to go back in the cage.
Oh, very much.
Like, how can I go back into getting fed 3 times a day when I can go out and get whatever I want?
Very difficult.
You know,
Very difficult.
That's
Very
crazy,
difficult.
man. But good story. Definitely just wanted to share that with you, that back end, you know, for people, man. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up, man. Just a health issue, man. I hope y'all was able to get some points from it, man. And like I said, do your research. Go get checked out.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to have them uncomfortable conversations, because it could save your life.
Yes.
You know, definitely, man. So the D.Fos podcast, we're gonna sign off, man. Anything else you need to say before we get out of here, brother?
Oh, man, you know, I said a lot, but I do feel like at the end of the day, you know, these choices are life or death.
Yeah.
You know, and if, you know, you choose life, then you have to choose life in a way that's going to be the best for you.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
don't sugarcoat yourself. You know, don't downplay yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't wait till it's too late. You know, just man, if you can go today, if you can go tomorrow, whatever, just don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just make sure that you understand the importance of what it is that you have to find yourself locked in on when it comes to your physical health.
Yeah.
You know, and that's about it.
Yeah. That's true, man. Word. So we're gonna get out of here, man. Like I say, check it out, man. Hope y'all picked up a lot of gems and nuggets. D.Fos podcast. We're gonna sign off, getting up out of here. Appreciate you, brother.
Man, I appreciate you, man.